Mike, Mike check. Okay, there. Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30. Normally we have the workshop first, but because we only have one agenda item on the special board meeting, we're going to do the special board meeting first. We won't be in executive session long, guys, so we're not going to keep you here forever. I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Dr. Redis.
Here.
Here.
Temple. Here. Mr. Taylor.
Not yet.
Okay. Ms. Barker. Here. Mrs. Scott.
Here.
And Mr. Newsom.
Here.
Thank you. Are there any public comments? There being none, we are ready for executive closed session. Here we go. Executive closed session per North Florida School District Policy 1.14A, stating that private or closed discussions by the board may occur as part of a regular or special board meeting. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotions, demotions, disciplining, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in the executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in public session and presents the item for vote of the membership. In addition to the persons permitted to be present in an executive session under the Freedom of Information Act 1967, 25-191, the attorney of the school district may be present at an executive session of the board of directors. Finally, Arkansas Code Title 25, Chapter 19, Section 106(2)(c)(1) states, the specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session. So please join me in the executive closed session for discussing the following: employment, appointments, promotions, demotions, disciplining, or resignation of an employee. Are we back on air? We are. We're back in session. We are down to, is there a motion about employment of personnel?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we accept the employment of personnel as presented in executive session.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that we accept the employment of personnel. Being that it is employment of personnel, there can be no discussion, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
Roll call, Ms. Rhonda.
Dr. Reddish.
Aye.
Mrs. McLean.
Aye.
Mrs. Temple.
Aye.
Mr. Taylor's not here. Ms. Barker.
No.
Ms. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
It passes. I need a motion to go into workshop.
Madam Chair, I move that we close the special meeting and move into workshop. Second, somebody.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second that we close and go into workshop. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is, that part of the meeting is adjourned. We're into workshop. First up on our workshop, is board policy proposal. Colonel Stanton?
Come on up, gentlemen. Ms. Coleman. Mr. Kinder. Welcome, Colonel. If you want to introduce yourself and our colleagues before the board as we talk about these two high-level overview policies.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board, Dr. Paluski, Colonel Stanger. I am the Chief of Staff to Superintendent. With me is, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Robert Ginder, Director of Child Nutrition.
Jamie Coleman, Director of Transportation.
Isaiah Washington, Director of Facilities and Maintenance.
Okay, what we are proposing up here as an information item is two policies. These policies were actually drafted early in the year. It went through a couple reviews. Both PPCs have seen it. Both of them, I can tell you that both of them had some recommended edits. We made some small ones. After that, I haven't heard a word, I'll be honest, from LPPC. Have got some feedback from CPPC and the fact that they don't like it. So we're going to present them anyway. And the bottom line is we've had some issues in 2026. Some of my colleagues can be happy to address some questions you may have about this. But the first one, and how do we have those listed?
I think we have it on attendance, Colonel.
Okay. If attendance is first,
Classified.
okay, classified attendance. What that one is it's an attendance policy that covers part of our classified workforce, the non-exempt, or think hourly. And basically what it describes is what is late or what is tardy for people that have to clock in and clock out. There's not a policy out there that explains that. And so it leaves supervisors, like the ones I have surrounded here next to me, that they have to make their own standards. So one could say, in a scenario, you're 5 minutes late, and the other one, I'm going to write you up or whatever. The other one could say, well, no, 20 minutes or 30 minutes is good with me. There was no standard. And so it makes it hard for a supervisor. And there's no consistency across the workforce on what is clocking in late or clocking out early. This describes all that and clarifies all that, and then puts everybody in the same sheet of music. And then it goes down what it means through the progressive discipline policy, progressive discipline system. If you got any questions about that, we'll be happy to ask. But the reason I've got these directors up here is because they face this every day, and they don't have the tool to address some of it. So,
Do you want us to hit all of them, or you want to hit them one by one? You want an overview of the professionalism one, classified? That's pretty much the same. There's one on license, one on.
so this.
What would you like?
I would say if there's a question.
Yep.
go
So,
ahead and ask
Okay, so
questions.
questions on the
Attendance
attendance policy then.
Is there any questions to my left?
I have a question. I'd just like for you to, each of you, to give some reasons why you need this attendance policy and what kind of difficulties you've had with employees. What's been going on that you're saying we need to have some sort of policy that covers these things?
I'll go first. So using data, we started with, I was able to have Ms. Edwards in the finance department pull the amount of employees from just custodians that worked. Of the 60 employees in the month of April, week 1, only 33% worked 40 hours. Week 2, only 42% worked 40 hours. Week 3, only 33% worked 40 hours. Week 4, only 42%. And week 5, only 45%. The constraints that I continue to have, I made it a point to, when I got here, my motto was, if I'm doing my job, teachers get to teach, administrators get to administrate, and coaches get to coach. When people don't show up, I've got teachers and administrators that clean schools. I myself have had to come when there's not anybody, I don't have the bandwidth to support it because there is a lack of continuity in our attendance policy that's being abused because there's nothing definitive. Also, being able to, because of the constraints, we have to use an exorbitant amount of temp agency funds. That cuts directly into my budget for custodians. I do not have the money to afford for equipment that I would have had I been able to put a dent in the amount of funds I put towards temp agencies. It would eliminate the ability for these to be abused. There are certain things that get abused. If they don't have enough sick leave, they can say, well, I'm just going to use personal leave, that day. Well, there's nothing to say they can't do that. And so these policies would allow for a system to encourage the proper usage of their time and to eliminate repeat. Like I've got some that every Monday they're out. 6 out of 6 days in 2-month period, they're out on a Monday. Every payday, they're out. In the current policy, if they can say that they're sick for 2 days in a row. On the 3rd day, they have to have a doctor's note. That's it. So they'll stop at 2 days, come to work, and that's it. So that's just kind of some of the issues that I have, particularly like putting a dent in my budget to where I can't support the schools the way I want to.
Okay. For me, I can kind of echo, piggyback on what he said as far as when we don't have enough staff, other people are having to do it, except for me. My wheelhouse is different than anybody else's. I can't just call anybody else. I can't call a teacher unless they are CDL licensed, of course. But what it's caused is my mechanics are driving, which means there have been times that no one was in the shop because they were on a bus, and if a bus broke down, they were like meeting in the field to try to go help or assist. I have been on the bus. There's been an instance where we had an accident one time, and I had to call Chief Finks to go work the accident because I was on the bus, the mechanics were on the bus, and our training supervisor was on the bus. So it's causing a lack in other areas, trying to cover for those that, have high attendance, are missing quite a few days. And there doesn't seem to be, they don't feel like there's consequences, so it's repetitive. Even when you're addressing it, it's almost like, okay, yeah, well, I'll be here, or I'll try to do better. But without it being something that we can actually pursue and hold them highly accountable, I feel like it's going to continue. It causes overtime as well because you've got drivers that are covering for others. And the biggest thing of it all, school students getting to school late for me. Mm-hmm. Late, getting to school late, or being picked up to go home late. Even when you're having to double routes, causing overcrowding and behavior issues. So attendance, having a steady and a strong attendance policy to be able to accurately and appropriately address these issues would be phenomenal.
Similar to my other colleagues, went back and pulled the data. On any given day, by contract.
Don't forget to talk in the mic.
Bring it closer. By contract, I should have 492 hours of food service labor in all of our kitchens. That's, if I look at the number of contracts that I have, the number of hours per contract, that's what I should have on any given day. Looking through the month of April, we averaged 442, so 50 hours a day on average from absenteeism. I had a low of 400 hours, so 92 hours on that day, workers not in the kitchens. Similar to my colleagues pull in temporary staffing, but even they cannot cover the number of vacancies that we have, and ultimately then our students suffer. We can't use our labor model. We can't do our service to what my expectation is for us to meet the needs of our students. And we're seeing this just across the board. The other piece with all of this is it's averaging 9 employees a day. As a new administrator, and I looked back through all the attendance policies when I got here. I'm new, I'm first year. I read the handbook. Because we don't have any guidelines, what do I do at 3 absences? What do I do at 6 absences? Where do I start the progressive discipline? It's all up to discretion. And so I'm trying to ask the questions, what have we historically done? There's not been any rhyme or reason to it. And so we've brought employees here with 12 or 18 absences, when we're seeking progressive discipline, and the question's raised, well, how did he get to 18? Because I don't know where the line in the sand is that when do I have a verbal? When do I do a letter of concern? When do we start that? And so I've asked for a policy or guideline so I understand what the culture and history is so that I'm not the new guy making ripples in the pond. I just need to know what the rules are. And so from that standpoint, it's something that I've looked forward to and encouraged so that as a new hire, these are the rules. We understand life happens. You can miss a day. But the biggest piece of it also from our standpoint is trying to get people to request off in advance. Tell me you have a doctor's appointment on Thursday so that we can schedule a sub. We can do prep work the day before. We can, get ourselves in a good position to meet the needs of our students. And what I'm seeing is over 50% of our absences are calling in the morning of. At 6 o'clock, if I get a phone call, there's very, very little I can do to adjust our breakfast model to meet the needs of our students. Those 7,500 students are coming on the buses regardless. We got to be ready for them. And that's the biggest push that I'm also looking for is, can we get a policy that encourages telling us up front, letting us know that I understand life happens, but if the earlier I get a notice, the better we can adjust and be successful for our students. So.
Any other questions to my left?
No, I think I had a couple of questions after that, but y'all answered them in the process of answering what I had asked. So thank you very much. I see the difficulties that you're having, and I understand. I've looked at some attendance policies too, because they're on the web, on the internet, and some of them have rubrics that this happens, the letter comes, and then termination. They're all kind of have their own little twist in every district that you go to. So, thank y'all.
Yes, ma'am.
We're just sticking with the attendance policy for now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I appreciate the definition of like what is late. I think that clarity helps for everyone, and I appreciate y'all providing additional context. My question is, with absenteeism, you were hinting on some of the causes of the absenteeism, but what is our current process for understanding when people are chronically absent? What's going on with them? Like from an HR perspective, how are we connecting with our employees to understand why they're not coming to work?
I can speak for myself.
Is it handled individually, I guess?
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe okay, okay.
And so as the situations come up, we start asking the questions because ultimately I would far rather have an employee today and us work with them to either match the schedule if it's a child care issue, if it's a timing issue, to make them be successful than I would to go down the road of termination.
Right.
A lot of times we ask the questions, no response, until we get to a documented process, and then, oh, wait, no, I have a transportation issue. Okay, well, we covered this through the interview. These are the hours we were hiring for. These are the locations. Wasn't shared. And then we're kind of after the fact going, okay, well, you can't get to the west side of town. Well, what openings do I have at the east side? How do I move people around? What does it look like? And then the challenges that come with that. But we do, I mean, within my own department, we do try to, meet the employee halfway to see what it is. I'm not here to terminate anybody, but ultimately, like I said, at 10:30 the bell rings and I've got kids coming and we have to be ready to feed them.
Yeah.
At the larger level and the HR level, we have actually sat down with employees that came through that we were going to do some kind of higher level, disciplinary action. And after talking to them, we actually had one that resigned, and then we helped them get a job closer to home, which was Little Rock School District, closer to transportation, and it's worked out well. So we have worked through this. As soon as we hire somebody and train them, the last thing we want to do is have them leave. Just the effort of getting them there, the cost, the man hours, and all that to onboard, train, get them to these departments and get them in the groove to do their job, we want to keep them. However, when that doesn't work out, we have to have some tool for our supervisors out there to be able to deal with this at the lowest level.
Right.
So a little bit at the higher level, hopefully this will address your question. It's a plethora of reasons. We have just done we've done this analysis before, but just the last 2 Fridays as an example. Fridays seem to be the time everybody gets sick. On April the 24th, and I'm just talking now on the license side, we had 80 teachers call in sick. That's 15% of the teaching workforce in this school district. We had 17 paras out. That's another 14% just for them. This Friday, another 65. Not on top of all the other leave, just calling in sick.
Right.
So we're looking at these trends. So sometimes Fridays, there's something going on that people have to call in sick. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. So there are some obvious reasons, and then it trickles all the way down to some individual reason. That those are what, our supervisors track at that level. But we start at the bottom and try to work up to solve these problems, because the last thing we want to do is get rid of employees after we've hired them, after we've gone through the onboarding process, after we've done the background checks, after we've done all that stuff, and after we've trained them. We don't want a catch and release system.
So what I'm trying to prevent, or at least mitigate, are the patterns that we identify and having a discussion and it still does nothing.
Yeah.
And because there's nothing to stop them from continuing those issues. And so there are several that we work with that, like we mentioned, like we're not just going to, hey, you're showing up late. Well, what's the reason? Childcare, transportation, whatever. I'll let you show up an hour late and we'll worry about how we address that extra hour, because I get it. I've got a one-year-old and 2-year-old. I get it.
Sorry to interrupt you, but does this policy allow for you to extend that same grace in the future?
It's all about, in my discretion of the director.
Okay.
And whoever is managing that.
So for instance, in here it describes tardy as clocking in 10 minutes later, clocking out 10 minutes early. However, an employee calls a supervisor and says, I've got this, whatever this is. I'll be there an hour late, but I'll work an hour after time, or whatever it is, cover my shift or whatever. Whatever the supervisors have autonomy to be able to do that kind of stuff. But obviously, if it becomes a trend or a habit or something, they have to address it, and they have a tool. So somebody who just willy-nilly just decides to show up chronically 20 minutes late or clock out, let's say a night shift, an hour early, this addresses that too. So the supervisor does have grace to be able to deal one-on-one with an employee.
I just didn't see it, that piece of it. The supervisory discretion, like if they called in advance, I saw this as like a pretty strict
So
rule.
there
If
again,
you're late, you're late. You get a point, a half point.
everything we do has some supervisor discretion across the district. So for instance, there again, what policy says is prescriptive. How you operate it is descriptive. Our complicated policies do have regulations to help supervisors do that. But if somebody calls in and says, hey, you know, car broke down, I got to get my child to, you know, daycare or whatever, the supervisor says, yeah, they're not tardy. The supervisor at that point gave them a verbal, okay, we're tracking.
So we, to your point, Ms. Scott, and I think that's our message here is, you know, we want to work with every employee because somebody's going to be, you know, stuck in traffic and, right, there's just, life happens to things. But to your point, we can certainly add that in here because it's information that is something about that the supervisor has discretion for events that cannot be controlled by the individual, something along those lines that just, I'm sorry?
Sorry, I was just indicating like however you would word it.
Yeah, we can put that in there, but it also gives them clarity to that as well, and lets the employee know on the other side, like, hey, sometimes life's going to happen, but you just got to work with our employees, and I think you heard from all of our supervisors that they're trying to work with all of their individual employees on an individual basis. But when it starts to snowball, they're just asking for some assistance to be able to address it.
Yep.
Can I add something real quick that this policy does? You know, we go through the hiring process, interview, the person's background checks out, references check out. You ask them specifically in the interview, how was your attendance in your previous job? I was there. I'm there every day. I'm going to be here, you know, unless I was sick. Well, neither so did we. We didn't know that sick was every week. But there's a part in here, the piece in here that says within the first 90 days of employment. So that's going to kind of weed out some of that. Either they'll make it, it'll make them or break them. Or, you know, I hate to say it that way, but it kind of speaks for itself and kind of will help control that as well.
Well, it just reminds me of how we look at our students' policies. And those things kind of grow and change a little bit over time as students come up with new things to do, like cell phones. And then you have to address that. And so I can just see that this has gotten to a point where y'all are now saying, we've got to do something and draw some lines, and then everybody understands up front.
And when we were talking about this, not just supervisors, but it should cause employees to be happy, honestly, because now they know there's a standard. There's no guesswork. If you tell me I've got to be at the right place at the right time, this place, wearing this uniform to do this job, it's great because I don't have to guess. I know what I have to do now. When employees have to start guessing, things get even more confusing, you get even worse. Just takes the guesswork out.
The other side to that, Colonel, which I think is important, are the employees that do show up every day. And when they see the individuals that are abusing that, and they're showing up and being model employees, this also helps them too be like, okay, well then something's going to be done about it.
Or if it's not addressed, they see it, and it's like, what's the point in me showing up on time, showing up to work, when there's no nothing,
accountability,
no
to
consequences.
Right.
So.
Anybody else?
I'm good.
You're
Thank you.
done?
Thank you.
To my right, any questions?
I do, actually. I saw a meme today. It said, you know, here's the person that you're watching leave early again today for whatever reason when you're there. And it goes along with this. What I'm seeing here looks pretty lenient compared to some of the other employee policies I've seen or been subjected to or been under. So, I mean, it looks pretty good. My question, though, on this is how long are the points, how long do they accrue? Does it wipe its slate clean at the end of the year? Is this a lifetime thing? I mean, do we know how long these go?
Yeah, that's a good question. We would reset them every contract year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, to leave early, and I think you guys have addressed this, but just in my head, I want to have it clear. Oh, geez. Hey, I've got to go. My son just fell on the playground. That's not.
I thought you.
Right.
Man, you had
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's a point.
Anyway, but I mean, things, like you said, things do happen. Like that.
Life
That's
happens.
not a problem or anything like
life
that.
happens. But
Okay.
the thing is to notify somebody in the chain of command that they at least know you've gone to do something.
Right.
Right
So if,
now,
you know, if an
sometimes
emergency call
they
out.
just disappear, and you're
Right.
like, I hope they're still alive because we don't know where they are.
Okay. Yeah. Also, too, when you talked about the 90 days, is this taking into account like 90-day probationary period, 120-day probationary period that you're here, and if you are a constant violator, there's just no.
We don't have a probationary period.
Maybe we should consider that.
Well, we have considered that. I completely agree with you. Most of the ones I've seen are 6 months. That's kind of, matter of fact, as state employees, that's a state standard. But we don't have one, so what we did, because we don't have one, is we built that in on this policy.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, I kind of agree with Mrs. Scott to kind of define some of these things here so we know that it's like that. But I mean, other than that, I'm good with it.
Mr. Newsom, it also goes back to Mrs. Scott's question. One of the provisions in there is that approved leave does not subject to this policy.
Right.
And so getting that leave approved, hey, my son just fell, I need to go deal with this.
Yeah.
That would be covered under sick leave. You tell me I approve it, you're gone. There's no harm nor foul. It lets us cover it within the rules that we have.
Right.
But to Colonel's point, it's the ghosts.
Well, I mean, crazy idea if you get hired, maybe you should come to work. You know, I mean, I know that's a wild, radical thought, but if
generally
that's
step
what
one,
this takes, then fine.
job, right.
Any more questions to my right?
Just a couple. Now, you know, we learning the CPPC, LPPC. And you stated when you started that you took it to, they saw it, but they didn't, but you presented it anyway. So what does that do to the process?
Oh, so these were actually drafted in the fall, late winter. And then I presented them to both PPCs, which is the rule. They have 10 days. They went way over that because we were in a rush. And so we've got feedback on these. And there was a couple changes in there on this one, and mainly on the professionalism policy that I guess we're going to talk about next. And we made some edits based off of that. The Policy Development Committee made some edits. And then, I'll be honest, this got pushed to the back burner. Budget talks, RFPs, several other things sucked up a lot of bandwidth. And now,
Policies that had a
Yep.
precedent for
all the student policies that we just do at a giant batch, all that takes a whole lot of work. And so these got put back on the back burner. Then we had some time, we brought those out. And then when we started looking at the numbers, kind of what like Mr. Washington talked about and my other colleagues here on their issues, this was the time to present this.
So this is classified, which I've read it, and got quite a few notes on it. This is a classified, but we hear this is a district concern around attendance, right?
Yes, ma'am. So we have what you haven't seen, and we have in draft right now that we're still working on, like we're eating this elephant one bite at a time. We have a few of these on the license sides too. This will be coming forward. We just hadn't got those done yet. There'll be leave abuse policies, attendance policies for for license. All those are being chewed on right now and developed by the Policy Development Committee.
Well, I know strong attendance. And I had a neat program we try to do, never ever absent or tardy. And I said you need to do it for employees as well. But I understand how attendance can make or break daily operations. But when I look at this, I do get, and I think you may have hit it about the points. Sometimes when I look at systems like this, depending on who's giving the points could be a little bit subjective to how they do their points. Is there a set consistent rubric or something that would be used to ensure that if Crystal is giving points to whomever, the same would happen with the other supervisor? So it's consistent and looks fair
So
in every department.
correct. So the rubric is built in there, but it also gives the supervisor a little bit of flexibility. So for instance, if, Mr. Stanger shows up 10 minutes, he's at minute 11, and I'm supposed to be driving a bus, and then my boss had to jump on the bus because I was late and drive my route, and she comes back and says, okay, you're late, here's where you clocked in, that's half a point. She has every right to give me half a point. If I and all of a sudden I'm doing some other job for Mr. Washington, and now I'm at 11 minutes late, and it wasn't maybe that critical, he can say, okay, he has the discretion. Or I called and said, hey, I'm stuck in traffic, I'm on I-40, there's a wreck, whatever. he has that discretion. However, this is built to have consistency across the board, across the whole the whole district. But there again, you can't just press a button in the back of a supervisor's head and they're a robot. I mean, literally, if we went exactly by it and they didn't have any ability to adjust based off their local conditions, we really wouldn't need supervisors. We could just do this all with a spreadsheet.
It's
So-
also understood that if my peers, if one of us falls short, that's a conversation that our boss is going to have with us when it's not being adhered to, and we're just like carefree, like, hey, they're just letting them show up and leave when they want to. That's going to be a discussion of that's poor leadership in that
So
department.
if I look at one and just making this up, let's say Mr. Washington is allowing I look at the timesheets just like we did when we figured out who was showing up over there and who wasn't, just for a random month of the month of April, the data he rattled off. And I look at it and I'm like, you know, you're sitting here at 45% working a 40-hour week, and then I see where all these people are clocking out early, routinely. Now, that is a leadership issue between me and him. Obviously, he's not enforcing the standard. And if I look at Ms. Coleman in this case, and they're spot on. That is my obligation as a leader to talk to one of my supervisors to say, hey, you need to do your job.
So you supervise all these?
I have 8 people. These are 3 of them. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had another question. So do we do any incentives? All this is what gonna happen if you don't do something. What do we do for those that do come to work or?
Keep your job.
You get to keep your job.
We're gonna keep the job, but
No,
it just I understand it. I understand policy. I understand attendance. I'm one of those that is stickler for that. We also, and y'all said it all night, life happens.
Mhm.
Not excusing everything that happens with life as far as being at work, because we do know our number one priority is taking care of the children, the students, and all of these positions do that. But, you know, it just, when you look at, we so keyed in, and I guess you said the license piece is coming.
it's coming.
But when I look at the classified, it just looked like there's a subpopulation of people that we focus on. But you said the other is coming for
They're coming.
attendance.
They're coming.
And not clear what you said about CPPC, since this is classified. They didn't have to see this before it came to us?
No. They reviewed it.
Correct. So there's, that's what that chart says. There's a couple different ways in which this can happen. The administration can bring a policy forward and go to LPPC first and go through that process, and they vote on that. Then it comes to the board. We could come to the board first for 10 days. But now that we've gotten this policy, we figure it's best practice to get their input ahead of time and go through all that. So this one's been through the CPPC with some adjustments. I believe it was voted down.
It
correct?
was.
Mr. Ginder is our representative to CPPC on the administration side. So it was not passed by the CPPC. And then in this case, it comes to you. This is just information. We got a couple weeks before it would come back for your final. You can either vote on it and approve it, you can vote it down, or you can modify it.
So it doesn't have to go back to CPPC based on what we do?
No. Once they've had their shot at it, it doesn't go back to them, no.
Okay. I was going to say something. I agree with the additions. I think it needs to be a little bit more thorough as to what the employee can, the pieces that we referenced about the discretions and all of that. I got some other pieces I'd like to see. But I just think it needs to be just a little bit more tighter so that there's no loopholes or misunderstandings. And then my other question is, how would this be implemented with employees right now? How does this, those that are already missing?
What we'll do
They
is,
won't start tomorrow?
no, ma'am, we'll start it on the 1st of July.
This new year.
We would
This
start
new
the
year.
next
This
contract.
new year.
Because we want to make sure
Okay.
everybody's trained.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
we
train.
gotta have
Training
to
of
get
the
everybody,
supervisors,
everybody's
training
hands,
of
they
the
sign for it,
employees.
we make sure they understand the standards. This is not one of those things, okay, it starts tomorrow, no,
Right.
And it's monitored by their supervisors.
absolutely.
And one last question, how does HR play in this policy development?
They're on the Policy Development Committee.
The
So-
HR department?
So when I first got here, I was tasked by Dr. Paluski to standardize policy development. And so we developed a policy development committee, and that committee looks at every policy that we do or that needs to be changed, edited based off a law, or like this, we have our own issue in North Little Rock School District for attendance, so we're addressing it now. And then we get together, and it could be a responsible office. You can see the responsible office on this is HR. And so they would then draft what they think it should be because they're the ones that are responsible for that. And then it goes through the committee and then edits and changes and all these questions, all the stuff kind of gets talked about. It gets put in the right format if it's a new one like this. And then we send it to the PPCs. So in this case, HR drafted this particular one. But if you look at some of the other ones, you'll see the responsible office could be, you know, Network A, Network B, or whatever, curriculum or whatever. Those people, the smart people in those areas, actually draft those things, and then we come together and then we do what we do with it. Ms. McLean is on that committee, so she sees it all too. And then was when all the, I don't want to say negotiation, but a lot of editing and crosstalk and things. Well, did you think about this? No, well, that's a good idea. You know, all that happens. So it's a comprehensive and holistic way to develop policy as opposed to one person writing it, go to a PPC, and then throwing it to the board.
So in your role as chief of staff, you supervise.
I'm the chair of it,
and
yes.
you do policy.
That's correct.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
in his
that's-
job description.
Yeah.
Remember, well, you do, I think. One of the things, when I arrived, there was no process to develop policies. There was no committee. Remember we had a curriculum management audit, and it said, look, you've got a lot of policies, they're outdated. And so we finally got to this point of having a structure and a system because it's one of your major responsibilities is to adopt policy. So we're in the process of stuff that's been outdated that we're trying to bring up. You know, you saw the ones that the law has changed some things. If you've been at the town hall, we're going to bring a screen time policy that Dr. Stoll and her crew are kind of working on. So we're trying to get better now where his policies are going to be in front of you more often, which hasn't been the case because we've had to have a complete process. And don't forget, you know, now that, and Ms. Rhonda, shout out to her, I mean, remember, the policies were all over the place. They were in a stagnant document. The numbering was wrong. I mean, Ms. Rhonda and Ms. Pat, we've now got it organized in one place. It's searchable, numbering system, so a lot more better organized than where we've been to get it to you to be able to vote on. And I applaud our colleagues because we're trying to deal with and tackle some systemic problems. And a lot of times there might be an absence of a policy, or a policy might be a barrier to be able to solve that. And so I think this is just a response to a problem that we're trying to solve to be able to support our supervisors with their folks to make sure that kids are taken care of and teachers are taken care of.
So maybe this will help answer the question. If you look at the top where it says responsible office, think of that, that's the code word for the original author of it. It may not it could have been, in this case, maybe the HR. It could have been HR team. But that's where this came from originally.
Right, I got that. I think my mind is processing the organizational structure of our district. You know, because when I think policy as an HR person, I think HR I've always worked with policy in the HR department. So when I hear chief of staff is oversees policy, I'm understanding, and that may be the way you've had it set up, the organizational structure.
HR works for me.
They work for you?
HR works for me.
Oh.
HR is part of the
They don't work
operations.
for the district?
So they report to
Report
Chris.
to
They report to you.
Right?
I am
The wording.
I am
report to you.
I am Ms. Coleman's supervisor.
Gotcha.
There you
That
go.
sounds, okay.
Yeah, we have
Not you?
we have a few Colemans in this district, right?
Let's go.
Yes.
Any,
Okay.
any more to my right?
Can we move on to the professionalism
No,
policy?
I always save myself for last. I have questions.
Okay.
Any more questions to my right? Okay, I have two. Mr. Washington, you talked about the custodians' attendance. What about maintenance?
I do not have an issue with anything in my maintenance department. They show up to work and they show up on time.
Okay. And my last question, have we posted the 2 custodian managers
Yes.
positions yet?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Indeed.
okay. Now we can move on. I always save myself for last.
So how about this, Colonel? Why don't we just, they probably read the professionalism policy. Why don't we just kind of jump into maybe some questions?
The only thing I would throw in there is there's one for licensed and classified. They're identical.
Yeah.
State law says you have to have one for each no matter what. You just can't have one overall district policy. It's whatever the law is. That's why you'll see some of these that are identical, but they're 2.
Well, this time I'll start to my right. Any questions?
Yeah, no.
Any questions to my left?
I was trying to find a code of ethics because as I was reading this policy, it felt to me like it was defining the bare minimum of behavior expectations, and I was looking for our standard of excellence for staff. So can y'all help me understand, or you, Colonel Stanger, like where is the standard of behavior, not just this kind of like definition that is somewhat subjective of like, here's what's wrong?
That's a good question. If anybody finds one, I'll be happy to let you know. So on
Okay,
the,
so we don't-
there's not.
So
On the license
So
side,
hang on one second. So we do have an employee handbook, and in the employee handbook, it does sketch out some minimum behavior expectations for employees.
but
Okay.
if you're looking for that higher level, if
Code
you're a
of ethics.
licensed teacher, there is established by law, and I'll have to defer to the superintendent or a teacher that actually knows the professional ethical standard.
There's the statute that is
Yeah.
in the ethical standards for educators.
Correct,
Okay.
and there's, I think, 10 or 12 of them. Some of that is incorporated into this. What we had, the reason we did this, there's a couple reasons, but maybe, hopefully this can answer the question, is we have snippets of what professional behavior is or is not strung from a handbook to little pieces in other policies. It's kind of scattered all over the place. So, and it's hard on a supervisor if you're going to do something, and I'll rattle off some stats if you want them. Where can you go for one-stop shopping on what professional conduct is or unprofessional conduct? You really have to hunt and peck. And we're still working through tightening up where we have everything lined out, policies make sense, some that are 1991. Heck,
Right.
we've got one out there that are written the same thing with 2 different numbers on it for some reason. So it's very, very difficult. This is to streamline and pull all that together so you can essentially have one-stop shopping,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
I guess my feedback, and I know we have time before we vote on this, is like as I looked at other districts, there were codes of ethics that framed excellent behavior as the standard rather than framing like this one does, what not to do. It was like what you do. And so therefore, if you don't meet what you do, you get what I'm saying? So I just, as we review a lot of policies, especially those like this one that we're creating from scratch, I'm trying to compare them to surrounding districts and other districts across the state. And I struggled to find one like this, but I did find codes of ethics. So I would just encourage us maybe to consider that path.
Sure. It's, in fact, on page 21 of our employee handbook, Ethics, Social Media, and Conflict of Interest, which it does outline relative to conflict of interest. It also references the professional licensed personnel also must adhere to the Code of Ethics for Arkansas educators, which is cross-referenced with policy 3.45 and 8.37, but we will definitely
I think we should
take
look at
your-
it.
For sure.
One last question. Can we get clarity on what exactly do we think this policy will solve?
Good question. So since January, just 2026, calendar year 2026, we've been in the school for this semester almost 5 months. And in 5 months, we have had to do 40, up to today, 45 investigations. We average 9 a month. It's boiled down to 1 Title IX. We've had 11 terminations, 10 suspensions, 6 resignations in lieu of terminations, 10 active investigations, and then 6 other investigations that at this level were needed to be sent back down to the schools for them to do some kind of action at their level, kind of like handing it back to a lower court. That takes a lot of time, money, bandwidth, and a lot of work to be able to deal with that. If I could sum it up, all of those without going into personnel actions, if I could sum all those investigations up, I could boil it down to 2 words: unprofessional behavior. And it runs the gamut of our employees.
Right, without getting into all
Yeah,
that.
Right,
I know.
right.
Yeah, I think that's the major issue here is we want to make sure that our employees know what the expectations are and be clear with them and be clear with supervisors.
Yes.
And support to be able, and accountability. I mean, this
Right.
is, we talk about, it's one of our core values, and everyone has to be accountable in our school district.
And I think as we all get to know each other, y'all will come to find that I have high expectations as well. So it's not a problem with the expectations. It's more that I believe policy drives culture. And what this document reads to me as is it sets a floor, and I'd rather us set the ceiling of like, this is how we behave. This is, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what the Code of Ethics accomplishes, while achieving the same output without defining these very subjective categories of like, are you being passive aggressive? Is that grounds for an investigation? I feel like that's a little bit of a gray territory. But we have some weeks to look at it, so I just encourage you
Well,
to.
I would, my recommendation, ma'am, would then be, is this policy's the floor. We can build this house by putting the foundation in first, something that supervisors from superintendent all the way down can work with, and then we come back and then build the high bar ethical standard you're talking about, which may be a policy, it may be something else, I don't know.
Yeah,
But it certainly can be done.
We'll cross-reference that with
Let's
this.
see.
Sure. Be glad to.
Any other questions? No. I don't have any. Thank you.
Can I just add, I think, like you said, we have time to review it, but I also think the tighter we get it, it alleviates the visual inconsistent enforcement. And because no leader will look at a policy the same and respond the same if their areas are gray. So that's all I would like to see, is to make so tight enough, and that the employees, I like to hear that they'll be trained and all of that about the policy. And as I've always said, when we're training, I think that initially they are aware of, when you do this, this is what's going to happen, prior to them doing it and then it happening. More proactive, but I think the tighter the policy is and the more training and understanding we ensure the employee gets, it alleviates the inconsistency of enforcement or unfairness, or I didn't get treated that way. I talked to my friend, she's in the nutrition department, she didn't get that point. So I think it helps alleviate all of those things.
Agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moment
Middle
that everyone's been waiting for.
Yes, middle school construction update. And as you guys are coming, I just want to personally thank you. Can you come to every meeting and feed?
Gentlemen, come on up.
All right.
Mr. Brown, would you like to start, and then we'll just have everybody introduce themselves so everybody knows? Can we maybe push pause on that? Before, I don't want to ruin the anticipation. I haven't seen it yet.
We need more microphones. This is a full-on 12-piece band over here. It's ensemble.
Makes me want to run through a brick wall. I have a feeling.
So, Dr. Pilskier, you want me to start
Yes, sir.
with introductions,
Yes, sir.
and then,
Yeah. And then yes, sir.
okay. So our purpose here today is to give you as thorough of an overview as we can of the construction process and updates and where we are, construction-wise, design-wise, budget-wise. So we're going to hopefully be answering a lot of questions for you today
About them colors.
about, we're going to colors too. Yes, so we have representatives from Nabholz, Taggart, Shields and Associates. So I'll let everyone introduce themselves here. Okay.
I will start.
Hi, good evening. Stephen Fulton with Nabholz.
I'm Ben Shields. I'm with Shields and Associates, and we're the construction owners representative for this district.
Billy Mayfield, Nabholz Construction Senior Project Manager.
James Meyer, Taggart Architects.
Emily Hill, Taggart Architects.
Ralph Moreno, Nabholz Construction.
And what we'll do is we'll first yield to Taggart
Yes, sir.
and let you all give the overview of the design, and then we'll move into the construction update.
And
Sounds
can
great.
you recognize you have Mr.
Just the
Doyne
Doyne,
back
yo,
here in
that's
the
the
back?
Doyne in the back. That's my
Doyne's
friend.
back there.
Yes, sir.
He's here to make sure we're straight.
All right. Well, thank you all for your time and the opportunity to get back in front of you and hopefully talk about some fun things. And so, just real quick before we hit play on the video, we're going to start off with just kind of an overview in it. You're going to see an aerial view of the original campus, then one of the proposed campus. It's going to work through some phasing diagrams to just delay your gratitude as long as possible. And then we will do next year a fly around the building and then a zoom through of the major significant spaces within it. When that's done, we will move on to some boards talking about the core different spaces of the building and what happens there, so we can go back and forth and talk about things in detail as y'all need and want. So that's all I got. If you can hit play for me. All right. And so there's a diagram that'll show you this as it goes through. There's numbers with what happens first. The 1 there is the 7th and 8th grade building, 2 is 6, 3 is the gym, 4 is the cafeteria that remains. And so this will walk you through the phases. And so phase 1, the first step is to take down the theater building. That's being completed. Now we are building the 7th and 8th grade building. During the second phase, we'll take down the upper gym in 7 and 8. We'll build 6 in the multipurpose. Then phase 3, we'll take down the lower gym, the 6th grade building, and we'll complete construction of the courtyard. And so this takes you around the outside of the building, starting in the southwest at the gymnasium, looking down the now open courtyard, and then working all the way around the southeast corner towards the front of the new facility. As this moves forward, we're going to zoom into the large community porch that connects the two buildings. So 6th grade is on your left, 7th and 8th grade is on your right. And so this is looking at that new grand porch where the drop-off happens on either side, so all of our students come together in a nice place. You can see the entry for the 7th and 8th grade building right there, so they're both tucked underneath that porch. This is the main entry for the 7th and 8th grade. You can see the office vestibule. This is in the large kind of lobby space where all the students collect and they move through it. A view through to the outdoor courtyard or the outdoor classroom, and then moving down to the primary stair within the building. And so after this section, well, here you can see back out the front door towards the front reception desk, the outdoor classroom. This is moving down the main corridor, and so these are at the end of each classroom neighborhood. We have an innovation lab, which is a little space for either volunteers in public schools to come through or sit down with other students and teachers. The open sink area for the restrooms, and then the next innovation hub. And so each one of these corridors of the school, you'll see when we get to the plans, is each one's organized by color. So there's a green corridor, a blue corridor, they stack on top of each other, and so color is used as a way to find your way through the building. It kind of tells you how to move, how to use the space. And so as we get back into educational spaces here, you can see they're calm, restrained, and a little bit more adult than what we would use in a primary or an elementary school. So then this moves up to the second floor, so this is a signature stair with a fun little light piece that's at the end of that also absorbs sound. And so again, in that corridor is where everyone mixes together. This is a library and media center. And so on the other side of this wall is where we have the collective study rooms that can be used for multiple kind of seminars. And then this is the reading nook that's out at the end of the media center, and through the large window to your left is the courtyard. This is in between the classroom wings. This is the outdoor courtyard or classroom, and then as the hill terraces down into the large one. So this is what that is looking at. So this is from the courtyard looking back at the building. Great. So that's hard to talk through really fast. Woo! Can you go to that PDF? I need a glass of water. All right. So now I can ramble and take my time. No. So these next series of boards that we have, let me see if this thing advances. No. Now it does. Awesome. Okay. So these are what we've used for several public meetings. When we've met with both of the principals, when we've met with all of the faculty and staff of these buildings, when we've met with the parent organization, and previous groups with a few of the board members who have come in through. And so I will flip through these. They focus on primary portions of the buildings. So if you have questions, let me know. We're going to start with the building exterior. Then we're going to talk about the plans, how things are organized on the site. Then we'll move into specific parts of the buildings. So when you have questions, just stop me. And so as when we mentioned on the video part, the top left here is the aerial of the new campus. And so we have a 2-story 7th and 8th grade building, a 2-story 6th grade building, and they're joined by a large porch. And so that allows us to make a single point of entry for all of our students onto campus. It's secure, it's easy to police, and it's simple for people to find their way around. There's no more getting lost. There's no more saying, I don't know how to get there, whether you're a parent or a student. And so you will go underneath that porch, and if you're going to 7th and 8th grade building, you'll take a right. If you're going to the 6th grade building, you'll take a left. And so what you can see on the third image down on the left is where the buses will be dropping off, and so that's on the western drive, next to where the multi-purpose gymnasium is. So that's the southwest corner of the site. It's the top left corner on that aerial drawing. And so our buses will drop off, allow those students to go into the multi-purpose building, and that is where they will go through the security check-in, and they will either be dismissed to go to the cafeteria or to the gymnasiums for holding before they go to the classroom buildings.
Okay, you know I'm a visual, so go back to the existing. Basically, it's on the side of what used to be the existing auditorium.
So you know the upper gym? So you know the upper gym, right?
Yes.
So where that upper gym now is where you will enter that multi-purpose building.
Okay.
Does that help?
Okay.
I don't think this thing has a pointer. Or if it does, I'm not. Oh!
It does.
Ha! Well, it doesn't work on the screen. Too bad! Sorry. Yeah. Anyway.
But the pickup and drop off is separate.
Yes, ma'am. So we are currently working on, with traffic and the city, to talk through how everything will finally move on this space. But the intention is that we will use not the most eastern drive, which is kind of a blind turn and super dangerous, but the next one we're going to use for 7th and 8th grade parents to be able to get onto campus. And then in the middle of the current 7th and 8th grade parking lot, we're going to cut a new curb cut on Lakeview, and that's going to be where 6th grade parents can enter the site. And then the most western entrance right now, so down by the tennis courts, that's going to be where the buses can get in. Gotcha. And so what we're able to do, because of how we're reworking car access to this site, is we're getting about 2.5 times more vehicles for queuing and stacking onto the site than we do currently. And so that's going to relieve a lot of the congestion and the problems and the angst and the anger from around Lakeview Road.
And we're working with the city.
Yes, ma'am.
Because right now, that's my pet peeve
Mhm.
every evening when I pick up.
We have shared that concern.
There's a sign that says, do not turn left. And what do? Back up traffic and turn left.
Yes, ma'am.
So we will eliminate, I'm sorry, I pick up
You're
every
all
day.
good.
And traffic will be moving smoothly. And then all of a sudden, somebody turns the wrong way and it backs up everybody else. So.
Well, Arkansas drivers, they're going to do what they do.
Right.
On the community feedback sessions that you guys
Yes, ma'am.
hosted, are there any elements of the building that you can point to that, like, either teachers or the community contributed to the design?
I don't know if I have individual pieces.
Okay.
A lot of our feedback sessions, we came with a lot of options,
Yeah.
and we asked people's opinions about those options, and we kind of took those notes down, and it fed into whatever the final solution was.
Okay.
Because we're probably on general site plan 6 or 7
Yeah.
for these facilities, and so we've had a bunch of meetings over the last year and a half. So I don't know if I can just pick
If
one
there's
thing and
anything.
say that's what came through.
I was just curious if there was,
I-
like a. And then we had talked before about the safety report, the safety standards for schools. I think we had discussed that this building has gone through that report to ensure, and you mentioned it a moment ago that there's one point of entry, but I was
Yes,
just
ma'am.
curious, like all the other safety standards. I know we don't have to go through them all right now.
Sure.
Like, at what point was that process
Yeah, and I know
So
factored in?
early, we've had multiple
Okay.
meetings with Chief Finks. We've met with the individual security officers on that campus.
Okay.
We've had multiple discussions with the principals, and we do a lot of internal research on the way that schools should be designed safely, and so that's a lot of why there's not big, long, infinite corridors. We have certain security doors that are set up to where we can secure the academic pods separate from the circulation spine. That's why the main vestibule has ballistic glazing. That's why all first floor windows have security film. So there's a litany of kind of items put into the baseline design of the building to make it as safe as we can. And hopefully to do it in a way where it's invisible.
Yeah.
So
Love
that the
it.
kids don't have to think
Right.
about every day.
Yeah.
That's a whole other element
Yeah.
to entry.
When the buses come in on that west side by the tennis courts,
Yes, ma'am.
they're going in straight.
Mm-hmm.
And where do they go? Do they keep going and go out, or do they curve somewhere?
So that part is still a little bit in flux. So the intention is that they go straight past the cafeteria, and then when we take down the 6th grade building, we're going to have a big plot of land over there with no plans. And so what we will do initially is put a bus loop in there. So those buses can come down, get a space to turn around, and come back and leave the site. Because what we want to try and avoid is a situation where they blow straight through and then we're taking 50 buses through the neighborhood to the north. Like, we want to avoid that. And there's 3 or 4 ways to do it. Right now, we think the most cost-effective way is to just put a loop in that green space. Great.
When you were talking about safety.
Yes, ma'am.
What were those 2 terms you used? Litany and ballistic?
Ballistic. So, I don't remember what the first one was.
You said ballistic
So
something.
ballistic glazing, right?
Okay,
So we
yes.
have bulletproof glass, right? There is
That's what
no
I thought
such
that was.
thing as
I thought-
bulletproof glass, but there's multiple classes of it. And so we're using a particular type of glazing that's called Child Guard. It's a kind of an industry gold standard for that. And so it's what specifically we put at the vestibule, in the window from the vestibule into the main reception area, so that we can keep that primary point of entry as safe as possible.
I knew it was safety, I just had never heard that term. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have to go through a lot of fun stuff.
Let me see if I understand this and make sure that it's on record.
Okay.
Because there has been public input, correct?
Yes, sir.
I didn't quite understand what you said. There has been public input. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, because when the high school was built, people were like, well, I didn't. Well, you have had the opportunity to talk about it. And
Yes,
you do
sir.
have an opportunity to vote in elections for people that are here.
Sure.
So,
Yes, sir, and as part of
I
the
just want
millage
to say that
campaign-
because I have a low tolerance for people that complain about something they decided not to get involved in.
Yes,
So,
sir. And I will say, through the millage campaign and through the design documents of this, we have visited every elementary school. We have visited the middle school 3 times to meet with teachers. We've had a separate full-day sit-down with members of staff and faculty in the cafeteria where we hung out for 5 or 6 hours and went through everything.
Well, when somebody comes and complains to me, I'm going to say, sorry. Because, sorry, but that's what I'm going to do.
Yes, sir.
So.
Understood. Okay. Are we good on this one slide?
We also were at all the elementary schools.
Yes, ma'am.
And parents could come there because a lot of parents had kids that would be going to this campus eventually.
Yes, ma'am.
And y'all went through everything because I went to all of those.
Yeah,
the
I
board
saw
was
you had a
there.
lot of those.
Yes.
And we went through all of them during the millage, and then we went through all of them again through design. So I did the math, and I forgot what it was after I left the office. I took bad notes, but we had something like 27 to 30 public meetings on the design of this school. So
How many was that again? How many public meetings did you have on this? One more time, throw that out there.
We're going to say between 20 and 30.
Between 20 and 30 public meetings about
Yes,
this.
sir.
Okay, just want to make sure I heard that correctly. Thank you.
And Billy knows how many of these board meetings we've been here, and those have all gone out on your Facebook feed.
I would
So-
also like to add, there's not only been 20 to 30 meetings, they've also been available in person and via online,
Yeah,
Zoom.
absolutely.
We've offered those, so for people that couldn't come out, they've had the opportunity
So
to join.
there's no
online.
excuses. I like that.
And I'll just add another thing that we added this year. So there's a community construction advisory committee for each project.
Great.
So if
So
somebody
I'll
wants-
say, I think the community is excited.
I do too.
I think they're
that's great.
excited about
Yes,
what's
ma'am.
coming, so.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. I've had children in the district. I live like 3 blocks from this thing. I hear and talk about it a lot, and I think that's a good thing. All right. Before I go to the next slides, on the plans, just in general, where you see the light blue, those are classrooms. Those are homerooms. Where you see the darker blue, those are specialty rooms. So project labs, art rooms, career ed. Where you see the light green, that is administrative. And where you see the yellow, that's a special education. And then the purple is the media center, library, whatever we're calling those these days. All right. So this is focusing in on the core classrooms. So as mentioned earlier, they are arranged in pods as per how the school operates. And so they're in groups of 9. And so we have clusters of 4. So there's 2 clusters of 4 within a wing, 2 clusters of 4 within a wing. And then opposite the main corridor, there is a flexible classroom and then a project lab, which is that darker blue. And so there is a little gray space in between that project lab and the flexible room. That is an office with glass to the corridor, and that is our eyes on the street. That is a space for an assistant principal, a student resource officer, however that needs to work. And so that is set up where they have visual control of both the corridors and of the bathroom cluster that's in between them. And so over to the right, you can see up at the top and the bottom, those are views of the classroom. Bottom's looking out at the glass. The top is, hey, look at that. Thank you, sir. I'm even more dangerous now. All right. And then so up at the top is where we have the millwork, just standard, nice and easy. And so what you can see in the classroom is color is present, is there to give some energy, to keep focus. You're not in a cinder block cell, but it's restrained, it's quiet. And so the images on the left are where we have color in the corridors, so defining. Thank you, so thoughtful. So we have, I have visual aid. So up here, this top image where you see the green, the reason we're highlighting that is that is where the security doors are. And so they are open 99.9% of the time.
Show me
and
where
they're-
that is again, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. So right here.
Green?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
gotcha.
this kind of green threshold you see, that happens right here on the plan, if you can see my mouse. And so those are where the security doors are. They're on hold opens. They're open all the time until somebody pulls an alarm for either an active shooter event or another security type. And so they are specially designed where the hardware is not visible. They're going to disappear as much as possible so you don't have to think about it. The image down at the bottom in the blue, that's where we have a pop of color at these knuckles where all the classrooms are. So where you see the color, that means you need to make a decision. Are you going in the classroom or are you going past the classroom? And so that is a common way that we use that throughout the building. In the middle, this really kind of nice egg yolk color is this knuckle here in the special ed wing, so that they might be in special education, but they're treated like absolutely every other student. So we celebrate where we make decisions and going into the classroom. Any questions about classroom stuff? Cool. All right. So moving into the media center, if you remember, that's on the second floor here. It's on the southernmost bar of the building. And so the primary entry is on this level. We're right up above it. And so we have in the upper left quadrant, that's where the media center technician is. That's where the circulation desk is. And then we have a large kind of middle space where all of the circulation and the books are. We have this kind of lounge area. It's really hard to see, but it's in this rendering here. And so that's where it's up at the glass, close to the courtyard. You're getting natural light. You get to see things moving on, but it's still kind of quiet and peaceful.
Every time you say glass, I'm like, jerk.
I know.
Remember?
I know.
I'm the glass lady that doesn't like a whole lot of
I know
glass
you
that
don't
brings
like
in a
it.
lot of heat.
And so what we've done, if you remember, we've added vertical louvers, which are just, metal high fives on the outside of the building. And so they're there to pick up sun. And so if that faces west, right, we don't want a deep overhang because the sun is low in the western sky. And so they're vertical so that they throw as much shade deep into the building as possible. And if it's hot in that room, Mrs. McLean is going to let me know.
I will.
But we feel confident about it, and we think it's going to be great. And so the bottom image here, you can see this little cubby wall. And so we have cubbies that are soft and have color so that you can sit there quietly and read. Then we also have ones that are thresholds that you can see through, so we can tell what's going on here in the backside of the wall where we'll have our study rooms. And so those are furniture walls. They're demountable, and it's set up so that we can have multiple things occur in those spaces. All right. Moving into public spaces. So yellow is where people move. And so this top image is where you come in through that vestibule we talked about. You go to the main lobby. From the main lobby, you either go into admin or the health clinic, or you go down to special ed. You go outside to the outdoor classroom, or you go into the education space. And so we have the yellow stairwell here. And then this is also talking about those innovation labs in the open-fronted restroom grouping that happens in between them. And so here you can see that is the blue innovation lab. There is a green one that is like it. And then below that, you can see the metal ceiling above the outdoor classroom. That green is artificial turf, a little bit better generation and installation type that we have in the middle school currently, so that'll be nice to be able to fix. Down at the bottom is that yellow metal stair that goes through it. We have a wood look wall that happens next to it. We have a couple more cubbies underneath it because we can't do anything else with that space because it's below 7 foot clear. So you could either have a blank wall or, we're a school, we need to be resourceful, so we try to build a spot for people to spend time and do something worthwhile in.
And those eventually have some storage units, rolling storage units sitting there, or?
Well, it's up off the ground, so you'd have to pick your rolling storage unit up and put it in there. So they're intended to be little seat spaces for people to be able to spend time.
I just know that teachers are always looking like, where can I put something else? So,
Yes, ma'am.
not just teachers, but administrators too.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking at all the little cubby holes you're talking
Schools
about. Like,
collect things,
so,
right?
You show the entrance, the walkways and all that
Yes, ma'am. That's here.
in case of a fire, because I'm thinking about the high school and the way it's set up.
Okay.
If I am not in exits, where are the exits in
All
case
right.
of a fire?
So, if it is a fire, and this is something I failed to mention, I think this is large enough plans. So each one of those classroom pods or towers has a stair attached to it. So if I'm a student and there's a fire, I'm going out the stair right by my classroom. And I'm going down that stair and I'm going out into the courtyard so that we're still behind the fence, we're still secure, we're still safe, but we can all get out easily. You know, the furthest distance from a classroom to a stair is probably 110 feet. And if I put a tape measure on the current 7th and 8th grade building, it'd be a heck of a lot longer than that. And so we have these 3 stair towers that all attach to the courtyard. Then we also have the main entry to the building, and we have the outdoor courtyard, or the outdoor classroom. So we've got 5 good exits from the building. We have 1 other bad exit that they would have to go through a teacher workroom. We don't want them doing that, but fire is
But if
fire.
there's-
If somebody can get
right.
them through, that's what we're going to do.
Right.
So you have the second level
Mhm.
coming down the same stairs as the first level. If you're trying to get outside. Is
Yes,
that what
ma'am.
you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. And so the way we look at this, and I again failed to say this, these stairs on the courtyard side is where we think students go to leave the building. If they're going to the gym, if they're going to the cafeteria, they're going out those stairs. If they are going from the first floor up to the library, or from the second floor to the outdoor classroom, they'll be using that yellow open stair that's here in that rendering. And so all of these stairwells are designed where they are open, they are visible, and they're easy to police. Because we've all been around middle schoolers, and if you ain't watching them, they're doing something you don't want to. So the more nervous they feel and the more seen they feel, the less bad behavior we'll have.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is the janitorial closet and that type of thing? Because you have lots of light colors. It's going to take a lot of work to keep it looking nice.
And so one thing to note is rubber flooring. So it's a much simpler kind of maintenance pattern than what we're used to. And so that's going to help. But there are janitorial spaces tied to each one of these bathroom clusters, as well as we have storage for cleaning supplies in the teacher workroom area, because we all know if there's mess, somebody's going to clean it up. And so we have it kind of sprinkled throughout the building. It means we have roughly 4 locations variously. So, good.
So I do have a comment.
Yeah.
As Dr. Redis hasn't mentioned it, but I want to go on the record again.
Sure.
Still concerned about the kaleidoscope of colors
I was
in,
waiting for them to
in
talk
the
about the
foyer,
colors.
and I know we had talked about that, and
Yeah.
I do have another concern about a middle school. And is there carpet was proposed in the classrooms?
Yes. So let me go back to the classroom piece.
I think that might have to be rethought about.
Well, let's
for-
talk about it. And so look,
And
I
we
mean,
don't
this-
maybe have to dive into that
Yeah.
tonight, but I do have some concerns about the colors. I know the rationale of trying to take our elementary school colors and kind of blend them. It
Yeah,
just
I'm gonna
seems a
I'm gonna
little-
tackle the carpet first because that's simpler, right?
sir.
And then I'll give you my pitch, and then y'all can tell me how you feel. So in the classrooms, if you will look, so kind of in this upper right third, there is this gray box with blue bars and then a blue area. So in the blue area, right in front of the millwork, which does have a sink, we're calling for LVT, right? It's a luxury vinyl plank. It's just the newer, nicer, resilient flooring that goes in classrooms. The rest of the space, we have it drawn and we have it priced as carpet. And we've done that, one, because carpet's a lot different than it was 20 years ago in the way that it goes down, the way that it stays down, and the way that it handles cleaning and maintenance. Also, the reason we have it there is it is much better acoustically within a classroom. And so you've all probably heard and seen the studies about the better a student can hear their teachers speak, the more they retain and the more engaged they remain in class. So academically, it's probably best to have carpet in there because it's going to help them hear better. We do have an acoustic tile ceiling that will help, but the carpet's going to make it perform better. If we're concerned because of custodial and maintenance and everything else, cool, we can go to LVT. That just needs to be an informed decision. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, you can do that. Just recognize it won't perform as well acoustically as it would have if it was carpet. I think the good part is, and these guys may kick me, in general, LVT is going to be cheaper than a carpet. So if we do make this change at this point in a project, it's likely not going to be a net add to the cost of the project.
So can that committee that meets on each one, can they have input and gather input from people on that?
Sure, as well as the administrators as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we've had a recent meeting
And
with Miss Marshall
janitorial.
And with Mr. Smith.
Janitorial is
Yes.
my concern.
Mhm.
We do have their, the operations side is a part of it.
And so all I ask, and I don't know, I don't believe we've processed those submittals yet, and we're probably far enough out. Typically, I would say we need to make this decision by the end of the summer. Like, we need to get this done so that we have plenty of time to make sure that everything's ordered on this year's pricing and all that kind of stuff. But if we want to take 30, 60 days to figure out how we really feel about it, we have the time to do so.
Thank you.
Great.
I'm good with the carpet.
Okay.
I'm waiting on that. I'm waiting on this paint.
All right. Well, the paint. So.
We're not the paint, the color.
Yes, ma'am. All right. And Emily, you can kick me when I get this wrong and you want to say something different. So the thinking behind the color in this school, as I mentioned before, we want to be able to use it as passive wayfinding so that you know what to do in this part of the building. And because we have English as second language students, we have all kinds of things going on. You all know these challenges. And so the other bit of this that we would like to give a hint or a nod to is the unique way that this school operates. Unlike a lot of other local districts, we have one middle school. And so this one middle school picks up students from 10 other elementaries. And each one of those elementaries has a different color, has a different mascot. They're unique, they're distinct. And so this school has to act as a mixing pot, right? You go from 500 kids in your school to 500 kids in your grade. That's a big moment. It's easy to feel lost. And so the intent with the multitude of colors here is to acknowledge that there's lots of different people. And they all come from from a lot of different sources, but they have to come together here. And so where you enter the building, where you change floors, that's where you see a lot of different colors, because that's where people mix together. Then as we get back into the classroom pods, we have singular colors because you're coming together and you're learning together and you're in blue wing and you're in green wing. And so that's how we've treated these. Functionally, there's some other good things for us about how colors wear, how many people are in those spaces at one time, and kind of the directional nature of how they're put in there. But that was the thought and the design process behind it.
Great thoughts.
Cool.
But as I said before,
Yes, ma'am.
I love the different color pods.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that if I'm a parent and I can say my child is in the blue pod or the green pod or the red, love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love the colors in the individual pods. It's just that entry coming in.
The Rainbow Road, right? This is what we've talked about before.
It's too busy. When you have ADD, that's a lot.
But I want people moving fast there. I want them to get through that door and get out
But
of
I don't
my
want a
way.
headache looking at the floor coming in. That's my only.
We also asked some
only
staff
thing.
members and their children who have ADHD and stuff, and their feedback was that this is actually, the color is actually calming to them. It's the opposite effect with ADHD. I was quizzing because I wanted to get multiple opinions and outsider perspectives, you know, asking the teachers. I do think that healthcare and education kind of go hand in hand as far as the maintenance and the durability, but it also, aesthetics are huge in how it impacts your mood. And this is obviously the front door. It's the first impression when you walk in the space. So making it super exciting when they come in. It's vibrant, it's fun, it wants them excited and ready to learn. It's stimulating creativity. That was the thought behind it. And then kind of an architectural nod to diversity and inclusion as well.
I'm only one voice of 7. I'm just saying I don't like
So
it.
have we looked
I think
at-
it's another way.
I'm sorry. Just,
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, looking at it, I'm like, I just thought it was examples, but, have we looked at our North Little Rock colors in the entry?
So we
And
have,
logo?
I
right
like
there,
that.
when
I
you
like
walk in,
that.
I
I
like the
like
idea of
that.
just using our
I like
school
that.
colors as you enter the building.
so
Yes.
It is, it's at the
I
front
like that.
entrance.
I mean, that's who it is.
Because
That's
as
who we
they
are.
come together in that building,
Yeah,
they
they come into
become
one now.
charging
They become charging
wildcats.
Wildcats.
wildcats. You are absolutely
there's
correct.
the video.
So we need that in the entryway.
So, can I get you to go back to the video for me? If you're still
Yeah,
back there?
yeah, that sound in there.
Here.
But
I'm
I
gonna
like
go
that.
mess it up on the, oh, he got it. Okay.
Put it in the behavior.
Go to like 40 seconds or something. Yeah, we're close.
We're
I'll tell you
close.
when to pause.
That whole porch is intended to be
Right, so the entire exterior part, pause it right there, please. Space button.
I see it on the wall.
Oh, go back like 3 seconds. There you go. All right. So real quick, while I have you, the outside, the public-facing side of this building, the accent colors are our navy. Right. That's the big porch. We have a couple lighter blues just to keep it from all running into each other. When we get around to the courtyard side, that's where we get some of the different colors on the louvers. And so when you walk in the front door of this, there's a big blue portal. And you walk through the blue portal, and on your right-hand side, you can see there's the Charging Wildcat wallpaper graphic that you walk in along. And then once you go all the way through this probably 20-foot vestibule, you'll go into that lobby where there is the multicolor portion. So can you go forward about, I don't know, 5 seconds, or just hit play?
Is that wildcat purple?
That's what I was about
No,
to say.
it's navy, and then there's a lighter blue. It's just impossible to get it to
We're
read
It looks
right.
purple.
Charging
I know,
wild-
I know.
We're charging wildcat blue. We're
It's
not
royal.
navy blue though.
It's a royal.
We
Yeah, it's a royal blue.
we have the correct little PAL and RGB number, and I promise you, Emily made them do it right.
I always say renderings are a blessing and a curse. You can only get so well with it. Lighting is everything. So a lot of it you kind of have to use your, you know, you just kind of have to know that it's the North Little Rock blue.
We'll get a sample.
It gets
of the
so
custom and put
it
it,
gets
you
so
know,
dark
there.
in the renderings that they almost look navy, and then you have to kind of blast it with lights, and then it kind of looks purple. It's kind of like when I've had friends pick gray paint color for their house, and they paint it, and then the room looks purple because there's undertones, you know. So take it with a small grain of salt on what you're seeing, and just kind of have to visualize it. But I do have samples of all of this stuff if, you know, we need to see anything. And same with that flooring. I have enough to lay out an actual mock-up so you could see it in person.
Yeah, we have a box of each color.
Sitting in our office.
I think I'm with Crystal and Valerie. I want to see the wildcat versus all those colors.
So let me ask you a
Put
question.
that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you say the Wildcat, are you thinking it's only royal blue?
No, it's royal blue and what's that? Blue and gold. That's the
Okay.
colors.
So, I mean, okay. So, I mean, I'm happy to look at it. Well, it's going to be very intense, right? So, I mean, red, blue, yellow, primary colors are super intense. That's why McDonald's uses them. It's why Burger King uses them. They're high energy, high activity. And so that's where a lot of these colors that we have in here are harmonic colors or tertiary colors, things that are softer, things that you respond to in a calm way. That's why we picked the blues and the greens that we had. So like, we can look at
Can you
it.
draw it up and let us?
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what I was going to suggest. Is I think these are great ideas. Why don't we just maybe come up with some options to?
Yeah, and so I think where we would like to be is like, all right, we're good with the rubber floors. We can keep that product, and we can explore several color studies for you. And we've got the same kind of time frame we do for the carpet of like, let's figure it out this summer. Does that sound good?
And the goal is to do a lot of the, school pride and competition areas. So like the multi-purpose would be all of that as well. So keep that in mind too.
No, I don't think we can get too much of it.
North, Little
I think,
Rock,
we're bringing these kids together, and we're wanting them to be charging Wildcats
We
forever.
want them to stay in the district.
And so I don't think you can come up with too much of that in the building, but
Well,
maybe you can. I don't know. But
Well, and we'll show you options, right? I mean, we're not going to tell you what you need to do, and so we'll do exactly what you asked, and we'll give you a couple other things that we might recommend, and we'll just have a discussion.
Appreciate it. Because my rationale is you're correct. We're coming from Bobcats, and you got the Lions, and they're all coming together under one umbrella to become a Wildcat.
Charging.
Excuse me. I forget. Sorry. A charging Wildcat.
I've been married 30 years. I'm not about to get in a conversation about color.
Trust me, I wish I wasn't.
I've learned.
Yes, ma'am.
When you guys hosted the 20 to 30 community meetings, did we do that as a district in partnership, or because I'm just thinking, in all honesty, these type of aesthetic decisions are going to be the ones that people actually have opinion about. So in the next 30 to 60 days, what do we do to gather other feedback? I know that's a whole can of worms, but I'm just suggesting.
I'm hoping that the committee can.
Yeah,
I
the
think
committee.
I mean, you guys have just completed this video most recently, correct?
Yes.
Right, and to your point, I do think we probably need to do another road show the video, and let the public weigh in, or questions, or anything. I agree.
Just define the scope of what's negotiable. I know we have a very tight timeline.
I was going to say, my
last board meeting, I
caveat
was
with
told
that
nothing was editable.
Right.
So
So interior colors, if we're doing color selection, we have more wiggle room.
Okay.
We cannot change materials, and we really can't change anything on the outside of the building because we've done so many shop drawings and submittals. So what I would propose, and this is for y'all to consider, let's show the video. We're excited. Now we would love to get this community, this group, whoever we're speaking to, feedback, and we'll show the 4 or 5 options for these multicolor areas on the floors. And so we give them an opportunity to specifically impact those areas.
Is there a way we can do it with students? I would like to get the kids' opinions who are going to be, living in it. What's their impact when they walk in? I only say that because I'm tying it back to healthcare again. I'm really passionate about healthcare design as well, and I've worked over at Children's Hospital for several years, and their new main entrance that they're about to open at the end of the month is just slam full of colored butterflies, and it is awesome. And so just to get some of a child's opinion, I would kind of recommend if we.
Absolutely.
I know I'm making that even more challenging, but
in the last,
it'd be helpful to hear what they have to say.
10, 11 days.
Well,
We can make that happen.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, we got some time. Can we do renderings tonight? One of the things we did discuss about with the teachers a lot when we were out there, and they were interestingly really excited about the things that make y'all nervous. Is I think I can't remember which teacher it was, but there was a comment that this is an adolescent building. It is a building based around the energy and the chaos that comes with adolescence, and this is where they have to learn how little kids are cute, and in high school you know how to behave, but in middle school you're neither. You're not cute anymore, and you don't know how to behave, and you kind of smell. And so that particular teacher. I don't want to call it out wrong. But they commented that they liked that the a little bit of chaos that makes us as adults nervous really embrace the people who the building's for. So.
Yeah. You want us to keep going? I know
Yeah.
Well, I would like to have one comment. Just making me nervous a little bit with timelines, but
You're so welcome.
just to let y'all know, we're going to be this flooring is going to be going down after the first of the year, roughly around late January, early February, according to our schedule. So typically, you have to back up roughly 3 months from there to have at least a decision, 3 to 4 months. So it gives us time to then get submittals in, get those approved, and then get the material ordered in here. So just kind of back that up in your mind on when these decisions need to be made.
Well, and so just backing him up, that's kind of where I said end of summer, and by end of summer, I don't mean after Labor Day. I mean like before school starts. Because once we get that decision made,
We
it's
actually
gonna,
start in the second week of August.
sweet. So like, let's get it done by the end of July, right? Because it's going to take about 30 days from y'all giving us a direction to us telling just to
And
save
depending
yourself.
on the color of the lot and all that stuff, depending on when the manufacturer runs it, then
Yep.
it may be a month before they actually run that color. So
Yep.
it's not as simple as just going to Home Depot and pulling it off the shelf.
Gotcha.
So while we're working on color rendition renderings, we'll work with Navajos to make sure that we understand the chain of custody and acquisition time for this rubber product. And we'll give you that information along with the options.
Where does it say North Little Rock Middle School on the exterior?
It's really hard to see here.
It's right there, right at that entrance. If you see.
So it happens in a couple of places. So there is a big sign here at the bus stop. There is a sign right here at drop-off. And then above each one of the doors entering the buildings, it tells you what that building is. So North Little Rock, middle school, 7th and 8th grade building, 6th grade building.
I'm thinking lights across the top so it lights up at night saying North Little Rock Middle School.
I love that idea. I didn't have the budget for that.
Wah, wah.
You're telling me.
Maybe we can get a donation.
Just make sure we got some electricity up there in case we get
I
that
like
donation.
what you're thinking, though, like a neon light.
That's
Or maybe like some backlighting or something on that thing. Yeah.
Okay, so I will make one comment. Let me think this through. That big blue metal porch is perforated blue metal. And so if we find a really nice donation or future budget, we can light the interior portion of that perforated metal, and that whole thing will glow whatever color you want. And you can put it on an RGB fixture, and you can pick the color for the time of year. So we will see. Maybe when we get done with phase 3 and we have some contingency money, we'll see where we are, right?
Yeah, we
That would
need
be nice.
Stop
contingency
teasing us with
money
a
for
good
sure.
time. That's
Nabholz, keep us in contingency.
All right. We'll keep. Yep.
I'm good.
Appreciate my high school
That
area
it?
a little bit better now.
Where do we go from here, Mr. Brown? I know they probably y'all want to just close.
You want to?
We'll let Navholz go.
So we can give you an update on construction and where we're at right now. So I don't have, I guess, these will work. Point here. So as you know, last August we demoed the existing auditorium down, took advantage of the dry weather then, and put the pad in, and then we had to wait on the state to approve everything, and then we got started this, what was it, January? January. Yeah, so we now have the pad in. We've got all the footings installed in what we call Area A. I have a grid line here, but that's basically that very north, that'd be north, right?
Yes,
North
sir.
wing of the building. All those footings are in. We are now scheduled to pour that slab this Monday. So the first slab pour will be Monday. The steel, we got 2 loads of steel for that area to the north, that north wing, coming Friday. So that'll be unloaded Friday. And then we're progressing the middle wing. We've got the footings all there, poured on that. We're working on the stem foundation walls now, and that steel will be coming roughly a month from now in June. So we're basically, each wing is going to take about a month to footings, slabs, steel. So you're going to work that way. So like I was telling somebody earlier, we're about to go vertical, so it's going to get pretty exciting out there. We're going to have a crane out there and steel going up, so it's going to get exciting out there for everybody to see it.
When is the thing that you were talking about? It's not a ribbon cutting. It was called something.
Topping out.
Yeah,
Yes.
when is that?
Topping out. Let me see. I got my schedule. I believe roughly. It's going to be close to July. It's going to be close to that.
I thought it was in the neighborhood.
Where is that at there? Structural steel. Yeah. Actually, first part of August.
Yeah. Okay.
When you say steel delivery on Friday, do you mean tomorrow Friday or next Friday? Just curious.
Tomorrow Friday. Yeah, tomorrow Friday. That first section there, north wing, that steel's arriving. 2 loads arriving.
2 loads.
2 loads Friday.
I was excited about 1 load. Now
Yeah.
we got 2.
2 loads.
And we do, if I'm not mistaken, have now 20. I was looking at it today. We have 24-hour, 365 live access to the site for the entire public to watch this get created.
It's like
That
a
is-
webcam we have.
Yes.
out
Yeah,
there?
that is correct. Yes, that's right.
Now, what's this topping off?
Okay, so what that is once we get all the steel erected and up, there's the very last piece is what we have a tradition in construction, and there's a good story that goes with it. I don't know it off the top of my head, with the Scandinavians and all that good stuff, and it's a tradition that in construction we have. We put a kind of a Christmas tree up with the last piece of steel, and it basically represents us completing that really dangerous task of erecting the steel and giving thanks to God and for protecting us and keeping us safe as we do that really hard portion of construction.
Is there also a signing of the beams?
Yes, and part of that we'll set out there. We'll find a designated location. Typically, the beam will be painted white, and everybody can come sign the beam. We'll try to find a pretty large beam because I'm pretty sure we're gonna have lots of people want to sign it, and have everybody come out with a magic marker, sign their name on the beam, and then it's erected up. Usually, you may have seen it before, but it'll have a Christmas tree on one side and an American flag on the other, and we raise that up and have a ceremony, and everybody claps and has a good time. So sometimes we like to do food, as obviously we did here today. So sometimes we have a cook there as well, fish fry or something like that, and we'll celebrate that milestone. It's a big milestone in construction and getting the structure up in the building. So.
Okay.
Overall schedule, we're on schedule with this first phase. We're looking to complete this first phase still in the summer of 27, sorry, 27, not 28, 27. And then we'll, as soon as school's out in summer of 27, we are looking to start demoing the 7th and 8th grade building and that gym. And so that phase will start as soon as that summer gets here. So
And that's when I have my box of tissues.
that's when you have your box of tissues, and we'll save you bricks. So, and then of course that'll go through that year in the summer of 28. That'll be completed, and we'll start the demo of phase 3, which is the gym, the lower gym in the 6th grade building, and finishing the courtyard up. So right now the plan is to try to do portions of the courtyard throughout. And do that. So one other piece that lets you know, that bus loop where the buses will be down, we'll be looking at trying to complete that road in the between now and next summer. So we're going to have to coordinate that and work on that because when we do phase 2, we'll be taking over the bus or that lower access road to the cafeteria down there. So we got to give access to service the cafeteria from the north side. So. Other than that, any questions?
That'll be my 40th class reunion.
That's great. Wow. Yeah. So, any questions on any of that?
We're on budget.
We are on budget, yes, ma'am. Y'all, I think last board meeting I was at, we got the phase 1 GMP signed and in place. And so phase 2 is, we're tracking on phase 2 just with the budget that we had originally last year, I guess is what we did that. So we're tracking on that.
I just, it's Mr. Ben, right? Will you help me understand the owner's rep's role in this project? I know we're going to have these meetings frequently, but I just wanted to introduce myself.
Thank you. I'd mostly observe, and
Okay.
I'm a construction professional. I've been in the construction business for about 30 years. And so I observe and advise the owner if there's anything I see that is not right.
Okay.
Do some quality control stuff, but these guys know what they're doing.
Okay. Awesome. Nice to meet you.
Anything else?
Okay. If we could bring up the budget on screen. And I'll borrow the pointer, please. All right.
Oh, the mouse.
Do you have copies of that, Mr. Brown, for the board members if they want a hard copy?
I do. I have one copy I can share with them.
Yeah, we have digitally.
Okay, so we'll just run through the budget. We have several changes that have happened to this budget since we've last looked at it, and the changes have been we've went from proposed or projected numbers to actual numbers because we now have better numbers instead of projected construction expenses. We've been through the pricing process on the middle school. We also have sold our bonds, so we know what the rates are. We know what the proceeds were on those. So I'm just going to walk through this. So the first number here is the available building funds. So our building fund balance was $50,577,575. We also had the state award us $20.871 million for partnership funding. We're retaining $10 million in our building fund for after construction, and that's what we use to maintain our facilities. So the actual revenue generated is $70 million. That is the $70,133,000 was the proceeds from bond sales 1 and bond sales 2. So we had roughly $10 million in bond sales 1, $60 million in bond sales 2. So that went from a projected number to an actual number. So the 61 here, the 70 here, that gets our revenue available for the construction program at $131.5 million.
Mr.
So,
Brown, guys,
yes.
Is that the total? Because didn't we approve more than the 70 in bond sales?
No, it's always been projected at 70 million.
Okay.
And actually, we were hoping for more, but the when First Security Beardsley, when they priced that out back before we went to the voters for the 4 mills, which was a couple of years ago, you know, they're projecting the bond market, so interest rates and things like that. So they priced the bond sales at 70 million, hoping for 71, maybe 71 and a half, but it came in right at what they projected. They projected 70 million, it came in at 70.1 million. So it came in right where they had projected.
And we're done with that?
Yes.
Based on our issuance? Okay.
Yes, the 70.1 million is in the bank.
Okay.
Yep, that sale has completed, it's closed, the funds have been transferred, and we've actually spent $3 million of the first Series A on the middle school project.
Okay.
Yes.
Curious, what was the rate of those bonds when they went on sale? What was what would a buyer of the bond get as far as the interest rate?
I would have to refer to that.
Just
It was
curious.
different for both of the sales.
Yeah,
And
just
I can
curious.
share that in our weekly board
That's fine.
report, just as a review on that. Yes, sir. So, and then the next section, this is our expenditure budget here. And the middle school is coming in at 74 million. Now, back 5 years ago, when we talked about the concept of doing this, we had projected 68. But, you know, market increases have happened, price increases, all of that. It's landing at 74 million. The indoor sports and activity center is right now sitting at 20 million. Old Main sitting at 30 million. We've got 1 million budgeted for demolition. That's at the old Poplar Street Middle and the administrative annex building. That's over on Poplar Street. We also have a demo package budgeted for the police and courts building here off Pershing. And then we have a difference here in we have 5.5 million in project contingencies. So these would be for unforeseen issues that we have to deal with. So that is 131.5 million. And then I've got highlighted here, we've actually spent 4.4 million, and that is all from Series A bonds. And if you recall, once you make a bond sale, the time ticks. You have to obligate and spend that money within a certain length of time. So we spend our oldest bond proceeds first. So our goal is to get through Series A, get that spent. We'll move to Series B, get that spent, and then we will work on our district building funds that we have, which there's no time frame on those, and we will also spend the partnership funds, which there is a time frame on those, but that will be depleted by the time the middle school is built. That will be depleted with the middle school project, so we will meet that timeline.
Can I, do you guys know the square footage of each of the 3 building projects off the top?
I can get you pretty close.
I just think it would be helpful, like, as the community's trying to absorb some of these numbers too, like, knowing price per square footage on all 3 projects. Because as we're all observing the buildings, just seeing that estimated project cost translated by square footage, if we can. I don't know what the square footage is on each of the 3.
So I can give you a little snapshot. I don't know the cost per square foot off the top of my head on those, but at least for walking around numbers for you guys. So the 7th and 8th grade building for the middle school is about 90,000 square feet.
Okay.
The 6th grade building is 54 to 55,000 square feet. The multi-purpose gymnasium is 32,000 square feet. And don't worry, you don't have to write these all down. I'll send you a snapshot. That's the simplest thing.
Okay.
But some people do better hearing. Some people do better writing. So in total, the final completed middle school campus will be about 200,000 square feet. That's including the existing cafeteria. Okay. The Old Main building is, it depends on whose drawings you go off of, but we'll say it's about 135,000 square feet. And so that's for the classroom stack, the auditorium, the cafeteria, all the way down to the boiler room underneath the stage. And so then the athletic building, it's probably the most flux in total scale, but we'll say it's going to be between 55,000 and 60,000 square feet.
Okay.
And that's the athletic complex here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That'll be, am I pointing?
The indoor sports facility, kind of like right over your shoulder.
Awareness.
So I can tell you the 7th and 8th grade building, it's $330 a square foot,
Okay.
roughly.
which
Okay.
Billy hasn't said it, but we're pretty happy and proud of that number.
We're real proud of that number. That's good.
It's
That's
it's
a good number.
great value for y'all.
We got good sub-involvement on this project there. The market was really hungry, so we got some really good sub-numbers on this project.
Okay, and so to wrap it up, the expenditures we have budgeted equal to the revenue, which gives us this cost differential here of 0. So we've budgeted our revenue and expenses there. And at the bottom, I've included the priorities that were established by our community survey, and then the board officially voted on and approved these priorities, which priority 1 was the middle school project, priority 2 is the restoration of Old Main, priority 3 was the demolition project, that's the demo of the Poplar Street Middle School, old administrative annex, and the old policing courts, and then the 4th priority was the indoor sports and activity center, the new construction of that building. So those are the priorities, and that's the way we are budgeting each of the projects to make sure we take care of them in that order.
So Old Main comes before the sports index, the sports center?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
It's second priority.
Okay.
It's already been kicked once.
Yep.
So, and it's a good question. So
I just am looking at the expenditure list and it's 3rd, so.
yeah, and we had, just to give the new school board members, we had gone several months, community forums, surveys, just to figure out what was most important. So obviously middle school came up first, and then just as it is, Old Main was second, and then the indoor sports complex was 3rd. So they're in community order.
So that the order that they're listed there on the list here, this particular, that does not indicate priority order.
Okay.
That's just the pricing of the projects as they were listed, but
the box is priority.
The box
Correct.
lists the priority that was approved by the community by survey and by board by vote. Yes.
And by millage.
And by millage, yes.
So we'll see Old Main going up and police courts being torn down all around the same time. Or
Yes,
how does that
ma'am.
work?
So the police and courts demo will go first, and so where we are with the Old Main building currently is we've kind of done an exhaustive investigation of through the drawings, doing a 3D scan of the building, building a model out of it, getting quantities, and so the first phase of cost estimating is happening right now. That's of the schematic design drawings. And so at the same time, on the next board meeting, y'all will review a proposal to do early abatement and demolition scope for the Old Main project, so that we can get some of the hazardous materials out of the building, get some of the junk that's in the building out of there, so that we can get as accurate of a construction estimate as possible on the front end. The commentary is with historic buildings, where costs balloon on you are the unknowns. It's the discovery. And so as many things as we can discover now while things are still in drawings, the less it's going to cost you down the road. Because every time these guys have to take a guess at something, it's going to cost more money. Is that fair? Yeah. So.
I've had a request from the Historical North Little Rock
Society?
Yes. And they were wondering if they could go. Now we have to get all of the stuff out of Old Main.
Yes.
And they were just wondering if they could be included in the walkthrough to see if there's anything there that they might want to keep for.
Well, we're going to do one step, but not better, but maybe one step we think the community. So Mr. Brown and I've just talked about this. You guys had authored about the content. So we believe very strongly that once we go through as an administration, if we're going to use something in another school, we want to be able to open it up to the community. If you want something and make a donation, we're kind of going through that process, that you can come in and say, you know, for $25, I want a seat, a chair from the auditorium. So we think there's a lot of things there of value that people want. And so we just don't want to just, you know, get rid of everything without having the community an opportunity to walk in and say, is there anything you wanted to add to that, Mr. Brown?
No, and we've taken that approach on other properties that we've sold in the past. We've had a community day where they've come up and gone through the building. We've actually had public auctions before. We've also just opened it up for people to go in, grab things, come out, and make an offer of donation to the school, and we make the exchange, and, you know,
Document
they
it.
have a souvenir, and we have a little bit of revenue, and we have a happy community member. So, in the end, if it's going to be thrown away and someone could use it or take it and preserve it, then, you know, that's a win-win for us.
Like an Old Main of
I
States.
think Old Main alumni
That's
would
right.
love that.
That's right.
So
Because
just
all the
You
as
don't
a
have that in Northeast, do you?
comment from a historical perspective, we would want the North Little Rock History Commission folks there, and we probably want to just make it really clear to anyone involved that, like, if it's affixed to a wall, if it's
Yeah.
part of the building, they
Stay.
can't just take it off.
Yeah.
Um,
We're talking
They
about
gonna take the
content.
I know
door.
it sounds really dumb, but I've watched people like chip off historic millwork, and you're like, no, you can't do that. Like, that's 110 years old. So, just had to throw it out there.
We'll make sure we got guidelines.
You better watch the alumni of Old Main at the doors and because they already talking about them.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna put a door in their house from the school.
Anything else? Yep.
Okay. And I plan to share with you, we have under current project timelines, current project budget scopes, we've developed a cash flow for this entire project for all three projects. So all this is projected. So projected on the current budget, the current timeline. We have a cash flow where we've got it summarized by month all the way out through 2029. So I'll be glad to share this with you all. And then I've got it totaled as well by fiscal year. So just to sort of summarize and cap this off. So of the 131 million, we're projecting about 4.8 million this year, which is fiscal year 26 payouts. In fiscal year 27, 55.5 million. In fiscal year 28, 46.9 million. And then fiscal year 29, 16.7 million. So that will take care of the cash flow for the project over time. Sorry, this is my wife. I'm not through yet. Okay.
When does the Community Construction Committee, when do they meet? Is that something we can visit, go to those meetings? I just was curious when I saw that. That was
Yep. And,
an interesting group.
Yeah, and I've got Colonel Steiner runs that. But yeah, we can make sure we put that in the weekly board report for, I think we're doing them like every other month.
They meet around the city? Or just
No, they
here?
meet right
here.
here. Yep.
Oh, okay.
We reached out to community members to see who wanted to be part of it, and each construction project has that.
Gotcha.
And so they can be anybody, you know, if it's an employee, but we don't have any employees other than me at those things, but they're all their different community members that were interested in those individual projects.
Well, I saw it in your report, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Sure.
Yeah,
Drop
and
I just didn't know when they meet.
They made, we met all this month. We were thinking maybe once a month, but then that's on top of board meetings, that's another 3 a month, and they all start at 5:30, and they didn't want to do it every month, and so we're working on the frequency of it now.
Gotcha.
And it's not just a set committee. We say it's a committee. The groups have decided how they kind of want to run themselves. What they've all
Gotcha.
kind of come to is decided, hey, we could be a good advocate and cheerleader, and when the community hears something, they're willing to go out and talk to those folks to say, no, that's not true, or this is true, or whatever, so they're good at getting the word out, you know, factually, as opposed to what's on the street committee or Facebook or, you know, whatever social media is going on out there. So.
I'm like, if you could just include the meetings in the weekly, so we'll know
Yes, ma'am.
when they're meeting.
We have, Ms. Pat's got those teed up, and then I'll put like I did the last one, I'll put a blurb in there of what comes out the backside of them.
Other than that, I do want to throw it out there again. Wherever somebody said that Northeast stuff was somewhere stored, If you could tell me where that storage is, I would love to see it.
Yeah, I'll be happy to get with Coach Ballon. There's a lot of those trophies that
Yeah,
are at
'cause
Northeast. They're
I was an
housed right
athlete.
now in the arena in a couple different storage areas. So one of the things we want to do is find some display case for those. So yeah, I'd be happy to take you on a tour.
I want to go. I have my trophy.
That's it.
in there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Football. Oh, look at me. They going, not me. Oh, we.